I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, find a rider. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. When I'm pulling up right beside you, pop star Lil Mariah. When I text kick game wireless, throw a stack on the Bible. Never Snapchat or took Molly. She fall through plenty, her and all her guineas. Yeah, we at the top floor, right there off Duini. Yeah, oh no, I can't fuck with y'all. Yeah, when I'm with my squad, I cannot do no wrong. Yeah, saucepan in the city, don't get misinformed. Yeah, they gon' pull up on you. Yeah, we gon' do some things you can't relate. Yeah, cause we from a place you cannot stay. Or you can't go, or I don't know. Or back the fuck up off. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, as always, the one, the only, the motherfucking General Magallon. And as always, President, Founder, CEO of Magallon Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast tonight. Welcome back this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we talk about the future of Bitcoin. Tonight we talk about the future of the altcoin market. Tonight we talk about the blockchain and blockchain technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want you to get in the whip and ride with the one, the only, the motherfucking General Magallon Entertainment. Now get in the motherfucking hoopty and let's motherfucking ride.
I was in the corner with the body screaming no. Now it's all back and looking like Pablo in the door. This gon' make you feel when I don't give me no. You already know. I was in the corner with some money on my face. She might get it poppin', I might wipe the floor. I already know. All I need is tell nobody no. I'm like, flashing on it,
Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin. And let us start with the one, the only, fucking Bitcoin, baby. So, let's get into this. My predictions for Bitcoin this summer, Bitcoin moving forward, Bitcoin next year, Bitcoin the year after, and Bitcoin the year after that. Let's start with the short range. Let's go to the mid range. And let's start looking down range. Let's begin with the short term. In the short term, I think the battleground is set. I believe Bitcoin is once again in the ultimate fucking war zone. And we talked about this war zone literally all of last summer. And to my surprise, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna be no bitch about it. I was wrong. Okay, I thought we would have kept tumbling lower by now. We didn't. Instead, Bitcoin started to rally all year long. I do think it's a fake rally, but it started to rally all year long. January, February, March, April, going into May. I mean, damn, might start to rally next month too, también, way. I mean, damn. And basically, Bitcoin told all the bears like me, who are bearish on the economy, bearish on the stock market, and bearish on the average American consumer and global consumer, as a matter of fact. And basically, Bitcoin chart told us to eat a bag of dicks, because we're going higher anyways. Now again, stock market's been going higher, Bitcoin's been going higher, a lot of things have been going higher, even though the data, leading economic indicators, have been going lower. So the markets are telling the bears to go fuck themselves, but the economic data is telling the bulls, prepare for motherfucking war, bitches. So we're kind of in this like disconnection right here, where the broader markets, not all stocks, because there's a lot of stocks out there in the market that are dog shit. Again, there's over 10,000 stocks that exist in the world. There's over 3 or 4,000 shit coins that are out there in the world. So there's a lot of, stocks and cryptos and everything that encompass the broader markets. But nonetheless, the broader markets, the major indices, right, which are really heavily weighted to like 5 or 10 names only. Let's be honest about that too. But those 5 or 10 names only, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Netflix, bitch ass, right? Those 5 or 10 stocks, even though they're not the, even though there's 500 stocks or thousands of stocks in all of these indices, those top 5 or 10 stocks are the biggest heavily weighted positions. So that's why you're seeing the markets kind of like rally. It's because you don't need all 500 or 5,000 stocks to rally. You only need the top 5, 10 or 15 biggest positions to rally. And because they're such a heavily weighted position, they could kind of drag the indices higher or drag the indices lower. So nonetheless, the indices, broader indices, NASDAQ, Dow Jones Industrial Average, S&P 500, yada, 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 right? Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those things are dragging the broader indices higher. But then when you pop open the hood and you look at the engine, you're like, oh shit, the transmission's all fucked up. The fucking carburetor's not working right. The timing belt's about to snap. I mean, damn, sheesh. This car's about to break the fuck down. But just like any reliable hoopty, sometimes everything might be fucked up with the engine, but the bitch still turn on and it's still running and gunning. You ever see that shit? Like like the engine lights on, the fucking oil lights on, everything's fucking screaming red, saying pull over, get me an oil change. But motherfuckers never do it. They just keep driving anyways. And sometimes that can work. Sometimes people can drive like thousands of miles without having to get a new oil change. Sometimes they can push a car to the limit without having to fucking, swap out the carburetor or fix the transmission or get a new timing belt or put, some more fucking tires on that bitch. Sometimes people can really push a car to its limits and the car will keep going, right? The car's kind of like, I got it. Si se puede. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to let you down, sir. And the hoopties out there will just keep running on the road, even though everything's falling apart, breaking down. The problem is, how long can that really last? How long can you really go without an oil change? How long can you really fucking keep revving the engine when the fucking timing bell's about to snap? How long can you really go without a new transmission? I mean, you can go a couple extra miles, you can go a couple extra days, weeks, months, who knows, right? Maybe an extra year or two. But eventually, at some point, you're gonna break that motherfucker and you're gonna have to replace that bitch, right? And I think that's kind of what you're seeing in the stock market. And I think that's what you're seeing in the Bitcoin market too. You're seeing the broader indices, Bitcoin, Ethereum, NASDAQ, S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, et cetera, yada, yada. They're kind of just keep going higher because the top 5, 10, top 2 weighted positions in the crypto markets, the two biggest, cryptos, I don't want to call Bitcoin a crypto, but the two biggest cryptos in the world are basically Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And then after that, it's just a bunch of fucking shit coins. Some of them do, really cool stuff and really cool shit. And the rest of them kind of don't do anything. All it is a picture of a chihuahua, right? I mean, again, if you go on Voyager, if you go on Coinbase, if you go on Kraken, if you go on Gemini, if you go on, the laundry list of exchanges, right? You'll notice that it's really just Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe 10, 15 other cryptos that actually do something and, actually have a use case one day. And then after that, it's just like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of coins that no one's even fucking ever heard of. Nobody knows what it does. Probably doesn't have any use case. All it is a fucking meme stock, meme coin. And, all it is a picture of a chihuahua. No one even fucking uses it for anything. It's just out there for no fucking reason, right? And again, I think the stock market's kind of the same way. I mean, you got a lot of great companies out there with great stocks in the stock market out there, but you also have a bunch of fucking shit stocks out there that are absolute meaningless, absolutely worthless, and their companies are probably going to go bankrupt this summer. But they're still out there listed on exchanges somewhere, right? Penny stocks, OTCs, right? Again, some of them are really good and they have a future one day, but a lot of them are just fucking trash, don't do anything any day, right? And so again, when you pop open the hood of the car, pop the hood open, you start to see like, wow, the big dogs are really doing their things. Bitcoin's been going up all year. Ethereum's been skyrocketing all year. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Netflix, this stock, that stock, hell yeah. The heavyweight champs of the world, baby. Yeah, yeah. And then you look at the other fucking thousands and thousands and thousands of assets out there and you're like, oh, wow. Oh my God. No bueno. Not looking good. Honestly, some of these charts out there for many stocks out there look like straight hot garbage. Straight fucking basura. And it just keeps going lower and lower and lower and lower. And a lot of those long-term investors are like, what the fuck, man? How come all the big names like Apple, Microsoft, and again, in cryptos, it's Bitcoin and Ethereum, but how come all the big dogs keep eating and all the big stocks keep going up and all the big cryptos like Ethereum keep going higher? But like all of these other things that are supposed to be the future, Proterra's bitch ass, Neo's bitch ass, lithium stocks, rare material stocks, you fucking name it. All of these stocks, thousands of them just keep going lower and lower and lower and lower. And again, that's the disconnect. Who's right? Is the broader markets right and Bitcoin and Ethereum right? And we're just going to keep going higher from here and everything else is just going to keep going lower, even though the economic data, leading economic indicators are screaming, flashing bloody mercy right now that everything's about to fucking just tank soon? Or are those 5 or 10 stocks indicative of the overall economy and they're basically saying, nah, it's all rainbows and unicorns and everything's going to be aight, bitches? Who's right? Who's wrong? You guys know where I am. I'm not only a bear, I'm a mega fucking bear. But the point of this clip is to talk about Bitcoin and its future. How does Bitcoin resolve itself? Because again, we saw last year, Bitcoin started the year at around, let me pop up the chart too. I want to make sure I get this right. So I'm going to pop up Bitcoin. I got to go to like the 2-year chart or 5-year chart because it's been like over a year and a half now. But we had that blow off. I don't want to call it a blow off top. I call it a fake blow off top of 69,000 in November 2021. Everyone was happy. Everyone was popping champagne, sucking in their wife's titties, having fun, popping bottles in the club. Everyone was calling for 100K, 200K, 300K, 400K, motherfucking 500K. Everyone's talking about on CNBC it's going to go to $500,000 back then. Remember that shit? Everyone was on the bandwagon, man. Everyone was excited. Everyone was happy. Everyone was, getting ready for an early celebration. We was about to get a major payday in life. People were about to retire early. I mean, everyone was getting excited and foaming at the mouth when Bitcoin broke above, 60K again and it went to like 67, 68K. I think the top was 69, right? Man, everyone was happy at that time, man. It was a celebration on the podcast. It really was. And we're going to talk more about that next week. But, at that time, again, November 2021, when everyone was coming out with their, 200K, 600K price targets, that was, the top. And, hindsight's 2020, right? Again, I was a believer that we were going to see at least 100K. I was hoping for about 200, 250K, but I thought at that time, I thought we would at least see 100K. But we didn't, right? And again, I'm a man about it. I'm not one of these bitches that like say one thing and then pretend like they never said anything at all. I hate when people do that shit. That gets on my fucking nerves. It's a pet peeve of mine. I don't really care if people like are wrong or right. I just want you to be a man about it. Because if I can't trust you to be a man about it, then I feel like I can't trust you like with anything in life. Because I feel like you're just going to say one thing and then lie to my face the next day, like a day later. You know what I mean? So like, it's almost to the point now where there's so many bitches out there in life. I almost don't care how like smart you are or how dumb you are. Like, I think at the core of the core of everything, I just need you to not be a liar. You know what I mean? Because if you're a liar, then you're probably a backstabber too. You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those things where I'm at that point in my life where I almost don't care how smart, how dumb, how rich, or how poor people are. I just want people to be honest with me because I feel like there's just a lot of bitches everywhere that, you know what I mean? Like, are just always just trying to take advantage of you. Or they're always just trying to put you down. Or they're always just trying to, you know what I mean? Like, lie to you. And that shit gets on my nerves because, I don't got time for that shit. So anyways, yeah, so I'm not one of those bitches. I'm not one of those people. I hate those people. So yeah, I was in the 100K bandwagon. I thought 100K would be the minimum. Again, my hope was at least 200, 250K. And I want you guys to understand something. Like, and again, this is not to flex on you because I know some of you guys get sensitive about this, and I don't know why. But I'll say this: if you owned, okay, and again, this is not to flex on you. But if you had as many Bitcoins as I do, you would be praying every day that Bitcoin went to 100,000. Because it's kind of funny, like people who barely owned any Bitcoin and only owned like 0.0001 Bitcoin were always like the one screaming and like shouting the loudest that it's going to go to 100K soon. But really, the ones who wanted it the most wasn't you bitches with your 0.0001 Bitcoin. It was people like me that own a bunch of fucking, again, I own a lot of Bitcoins, America. And when you own as many Bitcoins as I do, trust me, you're praying every day that shit go to 100K, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. Like, yeah, I'm always going to be biased towards Bitcoin going to 100K and then in the future 500K. And then maybe by the end of the decade, like a lot of people are predicting, it goes to $1 million of Bitcoin someday. But of course, like when you own as many Bitcoins as I do, why wouldn't you feel that way? You know what I mean? It's kind of like when Tesla stock, when, I started buying some in 2015, but I started going heavy around 2017, right? And, at one point I owned about 1,000 shares of Tesla. I don't own Tesla anymore right now. I'm waiting for it to go lower because I want to see how Tesla is impacted by a global recession. Because don't get shit confused. Even though I am a believer in Elon, even though I am, a fan of Tesla, even though I think SpaceX is going to change the world forever, Tesla almost went bankrupt during the last recession. And I want to see how Tesla survives this recession. Now, I absolutely think, Tesla will survive this recession. I don't think it's going to be 50-50 like the last recession. I do absolutely believe Elon is and Tesla will continue to grow and thrive even during this next recession. But I want to see how the stock, performs during a recession, because sometimes a company can be hitting on all cylinders and it can be hitting home runs left and right. And sometimes companies are hitting the ball out the park, grand slam up in this motherfucker, and the stock still goes down. And it's not because the company isn't doing well. It's because the broader economy is not doing well and it's tanking, it's collapsing, it's getting fucking crucified out there. And that's why all stocks go down during a recession, which is why, again, a lot of bears like me believe that the bottom is not in and we're still going to, at the very least, retest the lows of last year's, potentially break the lows of last year. Because in the history of the stock market for the last 100, 150 years, whatever, the stock market has never bottomed before a recession has actually started. Now, some people are saying this time could be different, but that's kind of like the most dangerous words in investing because everyone always thinks it's different and it never fucking is, right? So even though history doesn't repeat itself, it does have a rhythm. It does, tend to rhyme. So, and then some people do believe that history always does repeat itself. It might look differently, but it's basically the same thing over and over again because as humans, we have a tendency to never learn from our mistakes. And a lot of our political leaders, even though they say they're going to do things differently, they tend to always make the same mistakes as the people who they ended up replacing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny like that. We always say you have to learn from your mistakes. You should always learn from your mistakes and always get better from this. The reason we always preach that is because no one actually does that. They just keep doing the same mistakes in life. And again, if you look at a lot of your friends and family in life, you'll notice a lot of people that you grew up with, a lot of people that you hang out with, and a lot of people you know in life, they actually tend to do what? The same stupid shit over and over again in life. They don't actually learn from their mistakes. They don't actually, take it and learn and make better decisions moving forward. They just keep doing the same dumb shit over and over and over again. And then they want to sit there all sad and depressed wondering why their life hasn't changed. It's like, okay, homie, like, you know what I mean? You got the biggest life lesson of all and you still screwed up. So anyways, though. So, and again, that's not to talk, shit to people. It's just keeping it brutally honest with people. So, anyways, though, so when you look back at the last 50 years, whatever, however far back you want to go, you can go since like the start of civilization. I'm just talking about the stock market at large. And this is going to translate into the crypto markets. Just give me a minute. But when you look at the last 150 years of economic data, stock market data, housing market data, you name it, you call it, it's there, right? And you look at the totality of it, not just the last 5 or 10 years. I'm talking about the last 150 years. The markets have never bottomed before a recession has actually started. They only bottom during a recession or towards the end of a recession, but never before the recession actually got started. And so that's why a lot of bears are saying, I don't know about this because the leading indicators are screaming, flashing red, yada, yada, yada. And the Fed basically says, we don't care if we're going to a recession or not. We're going to keep raising interest rates until we fully kill not just overall inflation, but again, the key is core inflation, which I don't think is going to go lower anytime soon because I don't think rent prices or gas prices are going to come down anytime soon. I think they're just going to continue to stay at elevated levels. I think it's going to take a lot of pain inflicted upon this economy to bring down core inflation, which again is food, water, gas, and rent prices. I just think that's too sticky right now. But, the Fed, to their credit, they're just going to keep pulling the trigger till the clip is empty. So anyways, so, going back to the markets at large here, and as it pertains to the crypto markets, to the blow off top in 2021, right? Then we get to 2022 and that's when we finally got, put on notice and the Fed puts the world on notice. And I think at that time, that's when a lot of us kind of looked at it and said, you know what, we probably are going to go into a recession. And if the markets never bottom before the end of a recession or even before the start of a recession, if the markets never bottom until after a recession has officially started, and we actually haven't officially started a recession, it's just poor people who are living in a recession, right? Because again, poor people right now, they're fighting inflation out the ass, and the only way they're able to do it is just basically credit cards, or moving back home with their friends and family and, trying to fucking, move in with fucking different roommates and shit. Poor people are doing everything they can to survive this because inflation is definitely killing them right now. And the middle class is honestly just getting fucking annihilated right now. So we'll see how this all plays out. But the point is, if the overall economy, meaning rich people included, have not began their recession yet, and they're still living large, they're still going out to party, they're still going on vacations, they're still going to Hawaii, they're still going to Cancun, they're still going to Italy, they're still going to Europe, they're still going to Egypt, they're still going to fucking, what's that place? Not Saudi Arabia, that Middle Eastern place everyone loves to go to, Dubai. Right. Dubai, people are taking trips to Mexico, right? A lot of rich people and upper middle class bitches, they're still traveling, they're still going out, they're still out here enjoying their best life. So again, that part of America, even though it's a small part of the economy, they have 90% of the money in the economy. So even though rich people only make up 10% or 15% of the overall economy, they own 90% of all the assets. You see my point? So that's why the broader economy is not in a recession yet, because the people who own all the assets and investments, they have not gone into a recession yet. It's just poor people who are living in a recession, but because poor people don't own any assets or investments, like they don't really impact the broader economy the same way rich people do. Because again, poor people, they can only go out to dinner maybe once a week. Rich people go out to dinner every single night of their fucking lives, it feels like, unless they stay home and just hire a private chef. But you guys see my point, like, they have all the discretionary spending. They have all of the extra income. They have all the fucking net worth. Poor people, they make enough money to pay the rent, pay the bills, put some food on the table, and maybe go out once or twice a week, right? But they don't really got it like that, right? Rich people, upper middle class people, they can afford to go out 7 days a week. They can't, they drive the Bentley, they drive the Ferrari, they own a Bugatti, they have a fucking 2, 3, 4, 5 Teslas. They can afford to buy a boat this summer. Like, that's real discretionary spending. Not the people that go to fucking Applebee's or Denny's or IHOP or Burger King once a month. You know what I mean? Like, those are the people that really own the economy because they have all the money in the economy, and those people have not been affected by higher interest rates as much as the Fed would like them to be. They're still kind of just sitting back, chilling, enjoying their best life, and they feel like nothing can touch them right now. And that's probably pissing off the Fed, and that's why poor people are getting fucked left and right, because they're facing a slowing economy where there's really not a lot of good jobs out there. Again, everything's just minimum wage and part-time, bullshit. And on the other side of things, they're also facing higher inflation, specifically higher core inflation, which is really what's, just basically fucking them in the ass right now, because poor people can't run away from core inflation, because core inflation is stuff that you need. Again, food prices, gas prices, water prices, and rent prices. Those are things you basically can't live without at this point, even for poor. But rich people, they don't really care about none of that shit. They out here trying to do just party and bullshit. And they're going to go out and have fun this summer. And it's up to the Fed to decide what they want to do. Just keep hammering home higher interest rates. Or, you know what I mean? Just call it a fucking a useless war and just basically retreat and just go back to the way things were. Obviously, they can't do that because there's, a lot of people that are still getting, impacted by inflation. So they have to keep going with their higher and higher interest rates, even though a lot of people say that's just going to fuck poor people even more. But if they don't do it and they just let inflation run wild, that's also going to fuck poor people anymore. So, you know what I mean? Might as well just keep going in and fucking, at least say you accomplished something from doing all of this, right? So again, we'll see how that works out. But again, the thesis is, for most macro bulls and bears, is it all comes down to, will there be a recession? And again, when I say recession, I'm not just talking about, poor people, because again, poor people are already in a recession. Even lower middle income people are in a recession, right? And you see it every single day in their portfolios. You see it in their spending habits, and you see it in the way they live their lives. They're not balling the way they once used to. But the problem is the upper middle class and above are still living and chilling in their best life. And they're not being impacted by higher interest rates yet. And at least not as much as the Fed would like them to. And so that's, kind of that disconnect in the market. Again, where the top 5-10% of stocks, which is what rich people love to own the most, Apple, fucking Microsoft, Google, Facebook, whatever the fuck, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? The rich people don't really like to own that many penny stocks. Only like 1% of millionaires even own penny stocks. Rich people, they like to keep it simple, right? Rich people are in the business of wealth preservation because they're already wealthy, right? So rich people just want to keep it simple, and they just want to own Apple. They want to own Microsoft. They want to own Google. They want to own Nvidia. They want to own AMD, especially in this new AI revolution that everyone's, starting to get hip to, right? They just want to own, the basic things, the simple things, the blue chip of the blue chip, right? The fucking, the main names, right? And so those are the names that are just going higher all this year, along with Bitcoin and Ethereum, again, the big blue chips of every single space and industry. But then you look under the hood of the car, and the other 99% of all other stocks, all other cryptos, all other asset prices are just going down, 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 down. And I think those are the stocks that are really telling the true story. So again, we'll see what the Fed does with all of this, because they understand there's a huge disconnect, and they also understand that they're not going to be able to take down core inflation and get things, back to the way they used to be, or at least make them better for poor people and, fixed income people, they're not going to be able to, they're not going to be able to solve all this until they bring down some of the rich people, too. And right now, rich people just don't care. They just don't give a fuck. And so that's why the bears say, wow, it almost feels like we're almost destined for a recession. And again, for the 1 millionth time, poor people are already in one. But now the broader economy, which includes rich people at large, it feels like there's no way to kill core inflation without sending some of these rich people into a recession as well. And if that's a sacrifice they need to do in order to kill core inflation and overall inflation as well, then that's something that they're probably going to be willing to do. And that goes back into the macro data of in the last 150 years of, not just crypto, which is a small subset of the overall market, but when it comes to housing, real estate, stock market, bond market, you name it market, all asset classes, there has never been a bottom where we can say, okay, the worst is over. Now we're just going to keep on going, headed higher from here. We have never had a bottom in any markets before a recession started. It's always been during a recession or towards the end of a recession, but not before it even got started. And so that's kind of like the macro question at large that the bulls and the bears need to have answered. So going back to the Bitcoin markets now, ladies and gentlemen, when you go back to the Bitcoin markets to 2022, again, blow off top 2021, I took my loss on that. I was calling for 100K by December 2021. Remember that shit? Again, I ain't no bitch about it. I always want you to know that. Like, the general's not always going to be right. I might be wrong I might be right 60, 70, 80, 90% of the time. I'm probably going to be right most of the time. But am I going to be right all the time? Fuck no. If I was, I'd be a billionaire right now. You know what I mean? I'm still on my warpath, to trying to achieve 100 milli, which is kind of just like my personal goal is just to get to that 100 million mark. Again, I feel like I'm probably 4 or 5 years away from that. Hopefully, if I nail, this stock market this year and everything goes down like I think it will, and I can just short the market all summer and watch everything just collapse and go down like Michael Burry did during the Big Short movie. If I can become like the Mexican Michael Burry and just do like a Big Short, you know what I mean, in the stock market and just make a shit ton of money watching everything burn down, then yeah, it's going to make it easier for me to get closer and closer to that 100 million mark. So hopefully I can get there in the next 3 to 5 years, but again, vast majority of my money is in short positions right now, just shorting the economy, shorting the consumer at large, and shorting, basically almost everything at large. So I am basically massive net short. Now again, if I nail it and I'm right, it's going to make my path to 100 million so much easier going into next year and then the following year. But if I'm wrong and the bottom is in, there is no recession, and the Fed gives up on the war on inflation and basically says inflation's here to stay, welcome to stagflation, we're not even going to care anymore. If they did something like that, then I'm basically fucked and I'm going to lose like 80% of my portfolio. But again, I don't think they will. I don't think they can, because the most significant, the most promising, and the most important voters in this country are not necessarily poor people, but old people who live on fixed income. And those old people who live on fixed income, they are the highest percentage of voters, meaning 20% of millennials are going to vote, 30% of Gen Zs might vote, but like 90% of old people are going to vote. So a lot of you guys don't know this, but old people are the most important voters in this country, because as a percentage, almost all of them want to go out and vote. Now again, millennials, Gen Zs, they typically don't care. You know what I mean? Boomers, hit or miss. Old people, like over 70, it's like their Super Bowl. Like they live for nothing else. So old people, because they ain't got shit else to do probably, like they need to vote. Like they really care about the vote. And for those old people who live on fixed income like Social Security, they ain't having it, because they're stuck to core inflation too. They are deeply affected by rent prices, gas prices, food prices, public transportation prices, like medical prices. Like they're really deeply impacted by this. So they want to see core inflation come down, by any and all means necessary, even if it means raising the unemployment rate. But they don't care about the unemployment rate because they're not fucking working no more. They're old. talking about people who are like over 60, talking 70, 80, 90, 100. Nowadays it feels like everyone's living to be 100, unfortunately, which again, I think is what the government wants it to be, because I think the reason the government spends so much money trying to make sure that people live longer and longer is because they want you to work longer and longer. So before, it used to be like you would retire like at 60, 65, get your Social Security and check out. Now it's like they want you to work until you're 75 before you check out. Again, America's not a country, it's a business model. And we're in the business of financial slavery, getting people to work on their hands and knees until one day they can become debt-free. And because most people don't care about being debt-free, all they care about is where the bitch is at, where the hoes at, where the party at, where the club's at, where the sucia's at, right? Where the skonka's at, where's this at, where's that time? I'm just trying to have a good time this summer. It's my life and I want to live it now. Because most people, and again, it's not just millennials and Gen Zs, there's people in their 30s, 40s, and even early 50s who still act this way, who still think this way, who still have that same mentality. So don't think it's just, it's the stupid ass millennials and 20-year-olds. Like, no, bitch, it's 30, 40, and 50-year-olds still up in the club too, trying to pop it like it's hot, snoop. They still out there like that. Over there with their fucking arthritis, still trying to fucking drop it to their knees. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? But you see them. Trust me, I see them. 40-year-olds still wearing booty shorts. Like, come on, man. I'm sorry, man, but your time is gone. You're not 19 no more. You're fucking 49, 39, still out here wearing booty shorts. But I ain't gonna knock it, because like I said, I seen some women in their 30s and 40s, and you know what? They look better than a lot of these girls in their 20s. I ain't gonna lie. So, like I always said, J-Lo, Shakira, and Beyonce are all fucking 40. And they still look bad to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old in life, Like I said, you're Theo on this podcast. The Theo you never had, but you wish you did. So anyways, yeah, I think that's the business model. Again, America cannot exist unless you have a bunch of poor people in this country. America's a business model is the top 10% live their best life and do what they want to do every day. But that only works if the bottom 90% work on their hands and knees and make life easier for them every day. So, you need people at the restaurants, you need people at the bars, you need people at the fucking at the strip clubs, you need people at the resorts, you need people at the airlines, you need people at the airport, you need private security, you need the chef, you need this, you need the waitress, you need the busboy, you need the valet driver, you need the Uber driver, the Lyft driver, the DoorDash driver. Again, you need all of these people in the economy working every day on their hands and knees, trying to pursue this idea of financial freedom, where one day, just maybe, if they work really, really hard one day and save all their money, maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to be rich one day. Again, yeah, fucking right. It's all about investing. Again, it's not how much money you make. It's not even how much money you save. It's how much money you're putting towards investing. The rest is just bullshit, right? If you leave your money in cash, the value of your cash is just going to dissipate and go lower and lower every single year, because every single year prices just continue to go higher and higher. So if you're just leaving your money cash in the shoebox, your money's not working for you. It's just sitting there losing value every year. You know what I mean? So again, it's all about assets and investments. But for most poor people, they don't care. They just spend their money on stupid shit because they just want to have fun this summer. So anyway, so there you go. That's the business model of this country. And that's the only way this country can function. Again, top 10%, top 15%, whatever it is, they want to live their best life every day. Post pictures on Instagram. Look at me. Click the like button. Look at my food. Look at what I'm eating, and you're not. You're at the fast food, at the dollar menu. Look at me at my fancy restaurant and my macchiatos and at Starbucks and my frappes and you know what I mean? Look at me at the bar with this fucking, this margarita that they just made, and look at me at Vegas. Look at me, I'm at the fucking airport. I'm going somewhere you can't afford. Look at me, I'm at the beach enjoying my best life in my bikini. Look at my toes. You know what I mean? Like, and you see these people, because again, most of you, I don't, but most of you have an Instagram, and all you do is look at fucking people and you get depressed about your life. You're like, oh man, everyone's having fun this summer but me. Like, you let that shit get to you. It's like, what the fuck? So, not knowing that most of those people, the only reason they're there is because they're maxing out credit cards like a motherfucker, but they'll never tell you that, right? They keep that on the hush hush. But, you get my point. So that's how this business model is made. So anyways, going back to the Fed and the macro data, before we dive into Bitcoin, it's again, the markets have never bottomed and finally just stopped going down. That has never happened in economic history, not just American economics, but you look at European economics, Chinese economics, Asian economics, you look at all economics around the world for the last 2, 3, 400 years, it has never found a bottom before the recession has started. It's always bottomed during or towards the end of a recession, never before it's actually gotten started. And that goes back to the whole Bitcoin story of 2022. It's, oh my God, we're going into a recession. Ah, never mind. They're not going to do it. Oh no, now they're serious. They're serious. Oh my gosh, Powell just came out and said it again. He doesn't care if we go into a recession. His only fucking goal, his only mandate, his only mission in life is to kill inflation. Not just overall inflation, but core inflation. Oh my gosh, we're going into a recession. And then 2 months later, nah, they ain't got the balls for it. They ain't got the stones. They bitches. They're not going to do it. Too much political pressure. They get fired. They would never be allowed to. Biden's going to stop it. And then 3 months later, oh no, now they're serious again. We're going into a recession. It's just like up and down, up and down, up and down. And, we'll see how things go from here. But I think that's why Bitcoin last year, when it finished 2021, and again, wasn't 100K, not going to be a bitch about it. I was praying it would be. Again, you would too if you owned as many Bitcoins as me. But you don't. So now to start off 2022, it's kind of like, all right, Bitcoin was at 48K. What's going to happen now, General? What's going to happen now? And back in January, February, and March of 2022, when Bitcoin was around 48 to like 58K, somewhere around there, 40, 50K, right? You remember that? When Bitcoin was between 40, 50K to start last year, that's when I came out and I was like, pull the motherfucking trigger. Remember that shit? I know a lot of you guys missed that shit. Those were good times, man. But I was there and I was like screaming, pull the motherfucking triggers and long term, And by the way, I still believe that way in the big picture, right? Big picture. And we're going to get to that, at the end of this clip, big picture. Or maybe I'll just talk about it now, but like big picture, yeah, it's Bitcoin's not only going to 100K, but eventually, right? Maybe not this year. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but eventually, whether it's next year or the year after that or the year after that or the year after that, it's not only about 100K, but it's about, like I said, 200, 250K, 400K, 500K, 1 million. How long does it take Bitcoin to get to 1 million per coin, right? Maybe it happens in 2 years. Maybe it happens in 3 years. Maybe it happens in 5 years. Maybe it happens in 6 years. Maybe it happens in 7 years, right? Nobody really knows, but what we know is eventually it's going to get there. Especially as more rich people and powerful people, not just in this country but around the world, continue to buy more and more Bitcoins. Because I think right now a lot of rich people, especially with what's going on, not just with the Fed, but you look at global banks around the world just continue to raising rates around the world. Because again, it's not just the Federal Reserve in the United States that's raising interest rates. You look at what's going on in Europe. You look at what's going on in Asia. You look at what's going on in fucking pinche Venezuela. Oh my God, these motherfuckers don't stop raising interest rates. So you look at central banks and Federal Reserves around the world, Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, Peru, Guam, like everywhere. They're raising motherfucking interest rates out the ass to kill inflation. Because again, around the world, you think inflation is bad in the U.S., get the fuck out of here. Look at inflation around the world. It is fucking atrocious what's happening worldwide. And banks have no other choice around the world but continue to raise interest rates left and right. So, we'll see what happens with all of that. But I think when you see that many central banks around the world just fucking trying to kill rich people in the name of killing inflation and bringing core inflation lower, that makes a lot of rich people feel like, you know what, I can't trust you guys. One day you're fucking printing unlimited money, then the next day you're raising interest rates out the ass, and then you're probably going to send us into a recession soon, and then the only way to get us out of a recession is to go back to printing money out the ass. It's like, what the fuck, dude? It goes from printing money to killing money, printing money to killing money, printing money to killing money. It's just like a vicious cycle. Get the fuck out of here with that. We don't want to play your games. And that's why Andrew Tate, who always likes to speak about the Matrix, comes out and says at the end of the day, he owns a lot of Bitcoins, Andrew Tate and his brother, what's his brother? Tristan Tate, I think it is, Tristan. So Andrew and his brother Tristan Tate, the Tate brothers, they both have a lot of money heavily invested in Bitcoin. And the main reason is because they no longer trust the banks. And I don't think any of you do too. Most of you guys are probably with the credit union or, do digital banking anyways. But, a lot of rich people around the world, specifically, millionaires and billionaires, they don't really trust the banks either. They don't trust, central banks around the world either. They don't trust governments around the world, especially after these two just got locked up like a motherfucker, got sent into the fucking pinta on some fucking bogus charges. Remember that shit? So they don't really trust government. Most rich people in general don't trust the government. They don't trust the White House. They don't trust administrations. They don't trust Congress. They don't trust the Senate. They don't trust these stupid local ass governors. They don't trust central banks. They don't trust Federal Reserve. They don't trust global monetary policy. They just don't believe in any of that shit because they feel like it's just a vicious, stupid ass cycle of, send us into a recession, then send us back to good times, then send us into another recession, and then send us back to good times again. And it's like, bro, we're tired of playing your stupid ass game. And so I think a lot of millionaires and billionaires around the world are continuing to go into Bitcoin. And I think that's part of the reason you've seen Bitcoin start to rally since the end of last summer, when last summer Bitcoin collapsed below 30K and it went down to like 15, 16K. And now here we are almost back up at 30K. And I think the reason Bitcoin's almost doubled is because you're seeing a lot of millionaires and billionaires around the world start to catch up on this and say, you know what? I think Bitcoin is the future. We need a way to protect our money. We need a way to conserve our money, and we need a way to appreciate our money that has nothing to do with these bitch-ass banks or the Federal Reserve. So take a listen to this. I think Andrew Tate spoke about this. This is what he had to say about Bitcoin. Take a listen, and then you guys can come up with your own opinions.
How difficult is it to move serious cash? I had to send $900,000 to Qatar. The backflips, the paperwork, the legal nightmare. I swear to God, I was put on a travel list because for about a year after that, I was stopped at every airport. Just for a bank transfer, right? No problem with Bitcoin. No problem. So it fixes a whole bunch of problems, cryptocurrencies. It certainly does. I think a lot of people who are forward thinking and believe the things I believe in, it's the only logical conclusion. What else are you going to do? Trust a bank? Or you trust them?
That's true. So I like what he's saying there, and basically in that interview, he went on to explain that most of the millionaires and billionaires he talks to, he says, the easiest thing for them to do now is, and they're starting to understand this, is just use Bitcoin. And he was saying, and yes, he was trying to flex on us, right? And he basically said, look, fucking brokies of the world listening to me, like, you might not understand this, but like rich people like me, we spend millions of dollars, a week. We spend millions of dollars a month, a year. Sometimes we can spend millions of dollars a day, depending what we got going on that day. And when you're like a super millionaire like me and you're in business with all these billionaires, you really think when they're, moving money around from, country to country, or they're doing business internationally, or they're making big fucking whale moves, like, you really think they're calling fucking JP Morgan or, Bank of America or American Express to constantly ask them permission to use their money, ask them permission to buy something with their money, ask them permission to do something with their money? Fuck no. And he said he went through that once with the European bank, and he said, look, I need to move 900,000 from my account to this person's account because, I'm going to do some business with him and I want to give him 900,000 right now. I don't have 900,000 cash just sitting there. And even if I did, what am I going to do? Put it in a fucking UPS box and ship it to him? Like, I got to move this money digitally, right? I'm not going to physically just fucking ship him 900 grand. That's dumb, right? That's stupid. So if I want to send someone 900 grand, I can't do it through Zelle. That's for brokies. I can't do Venmo. That's for brokies. I can't do Cash App. That's for brokies. We're millionaires. I'm not moving fucking $900. I'm moving $900,000. And, he later explained, like, that's a problem. When you're in the upper class, like I am and Tristan is, like, we have a lot of money and we do business with billionaires around the world. We're constantly doing business internationally. Like, that's what you have to do to get to this level of the game, right? And because of that, it's a real ass pain to always have to do business with these people. And then I ask them for, what's their account? How can I do a wire transfer? But then to do a wire transfer, I got to call the bank ahead of time so I can get permission to do a wire transfer sometimes. And if I'm doing too many wire transfers, then all of a sudden they start to block my account, limit my account, tell me what I'm allowed to do and not allowed to do with my fucking account. Like, no, this is my money. I want to do whatever the fuck I want to do with my fucking money. And so he gets really frustrated and irritated by this. And he said now a lot of rich people, now that they've discovered Bitcoin and it's become so mainstream now a lot of people are like, oh, okay, well, if I want to sell 900,000 to someone else in Qatar, right? Because I want to buy a new fucking Bugatti, right? Okay, well, now I got to call my bank, tell them I'm going to be doing a wire transfer. Don't block my account. Don't freeze my account. None of that shit. Then I got to go in, get his account information, do all the work, process it. You know, it's going to take an hour later. We're just waiting for a fucking email saying that the money went through now. And then even then, he probably has to wait 1 or 2 business days before he's actually allowed to access the money. Like, it's a whole fucking fiasco. You know what I mean? So the other person might receive the money, but it's not always readily available to them, especially when it's in that amount. Sometimes they have to wait, 1 or 2 business days. Sometimes it's 3 to 5 business days. Sometimes they have to wait a fucking week before the money's unfrozen. You really think the rich people want to do business like this? No. So he basically says, no, now that Bitcoin's so mainstream and all these cryptos are out there, now we realize, you know what? How about I just send you 900,000 in Ethereum? How about I send you $500,000 in fucking, whatever, Shibu bullshit? How about I send you some Dogecoin? How about, you know what? You just send me a fucking barcode with your fucking crypto address, right? Okay, what is it? Click, click, boom. Okay, let me send you $5 million in Bitcoin. Click, click, boom. Oh, my PIN number, here it is. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And then all of a sudden, 5 seconds later, 6 seconds later, they got $5 million worth of Bitcoin in their account, and he sent it halfway across the world. There was no middleman. There was no intermediary. It's basically just click, click, boom. What's your PIN number? And then he just sends it halfway across the world. And he said, now if you're a millionaire or a billionaire anywhere in the world and you want to do business with anyone else anywhere around the world, you can literally send them money in 5-6 seconds flat, and there is no fucking, there is no middleman, there is no tax man, there is no IRS guy, asking you for when's the last time you sent $800 on your fucking Venmo. You know what I mean? Like, there is none of that. It's fucking, I could send 900,000 tonight and it's going to be there in 6 seconds from now. And nobody has to know about it. Like, basically that idea, that feeling, that concept right there is what he's speaking to. And so I think that's why this 30K level is so important. Because now it goes back to the macroeconomy. If the Fed is going to give up its war on inflation, if the Fed is going to say, you know what, we now have stagflation, inflation's here to stay, it's probably just going to keep going higher, it's out of our control, there's nothing we can do about it, oh my God, you know what I mean, we failed you, poor people, specifically old people, who are, again, not just deeply impacted by core inflation, but they're also the most important voters in this country. So guess what's going to be important to them during the next election cycle? Inflation, core inflation. So when you look at it from that standpoint, if I'm wrong about this and all the economists are wrong about this and the Fed does, basically, decommit from fighting inflation, and they basically say we're scared to send the country into a recession, even though they just told us for the last 18 straight months that they're not. But let's just say they give up on that war on inflation, they run away like a scared little pussy bitch, and they basically just walk away from all this and allow inflation just to keep going higher anyways, and this was all for nothing. If that were to happen, then yeah, I think Bitcoin's going to skyrocket. But if it doesn't happen and the Fed does what we think will happen, which is keep fighting the war on inflation and pulling the motherfucking trigger till that clip is empty, then yeah, they'll send us into a recession. But to them, again, that's the price that they have to pay. Then that's the price they have to pay because they need to save the most important voters in this country, which is poor people. And by the way, old people, but poor people too. Yeah, poor people don't want to go into a recession, but they also don't want to live in an economy where they're never going to be able to escape core inflation and they're going to have to live at their mama's house forever. So I think even poor people are kind of like, look, if we're going to have a recession, let's just get this shit started anyways and get it out the way. So that way we can go back to good times and, you know what I mean? Like easy monetary policy. But I don't want to live in a world where inflation stays this high forever because that's going to be bullshit. And I think that's going to hurt not just poor people, but that's going to hurt a lot of small businesses as well. Because I think a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'd rather go through a 2 or 3 year recession or even a 6-month recession than have to deal with inflation like this for the next 10 years. Because that's going to make everything just fucking, bad. So, we'll see. And so that's why, again, that 30K level is so important because last summer, When Bitcoin was trading in that 40, 50K range, I was like bullish, long term. It's all, in the end, it's always going to go into the hundreds of thousands, if not the millions. All the whales and the mega whales and the millionaires and the billionaires and the powerful people. And Elon Musk owns Bitcoin. Jeff Bezos owns Bitcoin. Tim Cook owns Bitcoin. Andrew Tate and his brother own Bitcoin. You don't think that there's other millionaires too that own Bitcoins? Obviously, there's a shit ton of millionaires and billionaires that own Bitcoin around the world. And so I think in the future, yeah, I think 100K is easy. I think 200K, 300K, 400K, 500K, 1 million is easy. Now, we're going to get there next week. Are we going to get there tomorrow? No. Are we going to get there eventually one day? Absolutely. And what's the only question you're going to ask yourself when we get there? Why didn't I fucking buy more? That's the only question you're going to ask yourself. And I think the best Bitcoin story, aside from my own, that I've ever heard on this is this. And I'm going to make this a quick story before we move on, because I want to give you guys my price targets and my price predictions right now. So one last quick story that I promise you're going to like it. Promise. There was a lady that was investing in the stock market, and they asked her how was her journey in the stock market. And I think when she first started investing, she only had like 5K. And then in the future, she had something like 15 milli, right? So this is a lady that went from $5,000 in her portfolio in the stock market to $15 million. And no, she didn't get there overnight. It took years and years and years, right? Whatever, maybe 2-3 decades. Who fucking knows? Because she only started with 5K, right? Not to say that that's not a lot of money, but it really isn't. But the point is, she started with 5K, and maybe she added more, throughout the years, but she started with 5K and she got to 15 milli. And they asked her what was her investment journey like, and she said this. She said, investing for the long term to be where you want to be in life in the future, it's kind of like when I go to the beach on a Saturday. And the interviewer was like, what do you mean? Can you describe this for me? She's like, yeah. When I decide that I'm tired of being home all summer, and I want to change my situation, I want to change my circumstances, I want to change my environment, I decide that I want to go to the beach, because I think being at the beach is a better environment to be in, for the summer. Kind of just like life. You don't want to be, stuck in the hood poor forever, right? So she says, usually when you decide to go to the beach on a Saturday, you usually don't decide that morning. You usually decide the night before or the day before, or maybe, 2-3 days before. But it's usually you come up with the idea first, and then you realize, okay, this is where I am, and that's where I want to be later, this Saturday. And she says, so I decided like on a Tuesday, Wednesday, this Saturday I want to go to the beach. I want to take me and my dog, and we're going to go to the beach. And we're going to go on Saturday. We're going to leave early in the morning. Okay, so I've decided I want to change my circumstances in the future. I'm probably going to be here Monday, probably going to be here Tuesday. I'm going to be here Wednesday. I'm going to be here Thursday. I'm going to be here Friday. But Saturday, in the future, I'm going to be at the beach, and I'm going to be in a better situation. So I'm going to prepare. What do I need to do to prepare? Well, I need to buy, lotion, the sunscreen, because it's going to be hot as fuck outside. I need to get a picnic basket. I'm going to bring this. I'm going to bring that. The beach blanket, my bikini, whatever. She's coming up with all the shit, all the bullshit, women want to bring with them to the beach during the summer, right? So she comes up with a list and she starts to pack it. Saturday morning comes. She gets in the car, she gets the dog, brings the bowls, dog food, right? Water, got everything she needs. Already filled up with gas, the night before. She got her snacks, she's good. Made coffee, she's good. She's set to go. She goes and she starts driving to the beach. She goes and she goes onto the freeway and she says, okay, looks like I'm about an hour from the beach. Okay, not bad. Halfway towards the beach on the freeway, she hits traffic. And she's like, dang, man, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was going to be just like 1, 2, 3, I'm there and I'm parking. I thought it was going to be a straight shot to the beach. It turns out it's not. I hit traffic. Things slowed down. Now all of a sudden I'm not getting there as quickly as I thought I would. I'm not moving as fast as I thought I would. I'm not going as fast, and I'm not going to get there at the time I thought I would. She said, you have two choices then. you can either turn around and go back home and just give up on going to the beach and just, say, fuck it, I'm just going to stay home forever for the rest of the summer. Or you can just sit your ass there and be patient and wait for traffic to, dissipate, to move, disappear. And she says, when you're stuck in traffic on the freeway, it always feels like it's going to be forever. It feels like traffic just never goes away. But if you just sit there, be patient, listen to music, talk to your friends, right? I'm over here just talking to my poodle, whatever she was doing, right? Listening to her fucking Taylor Swift, the Swifties out there, right? She's a white girl, right? She's telling the story. She's like, I'm just there listening to my T Swift, talking to my poodle, telling her about how stressful my life is, right? Because dogs are always, they like to listen, even though they don't, even though they probably don't care, who knows? But typical white girl, she's just there with her poodle listening to her fucking T Swift, drinking her coffee. And she said, it felt like a long time that I was stuck in traffic, but really I was only there for about 20 minutes. Now, 20 minutes feels like a long time when you're stuck in traffic, but once it's over, you're like, oh, look, it's gone now. And then all of a sudden you start to speed up. All of a sudden, because you were patient and you didn't turn around and go back home, it would have took me 30 minutes to go back home, but I was only in traffic for 20 minutes. So it actually would have took me longer just to go back home than it would for me to wait for traffic to disappear. So I just waited there. I was patient. I took my time. I didn't stress out about it. I was frustrated in the moment, but you know what I mean? I kept cool about it. And I just kept, thinking like, either way, I'm going to go to the beach. Yeah, it's going to take me longer now, but I'm still going to the beach and nothing's going to stop me. Because no matter what, I'd rather be at the beach than be at home doing nothing. So either way, I'm still going. I'm in traffic. I'm slowing down. I'm not getting there as fast as I thought I would be. But I'm not getting off the freeway because fuck it. I'm already here now. And she's like, I'm just going to keep waiting and keep waiting. And yeah, it might take a little longer than I expected. But it doesn't change the fact that I know where I want to be in life. I know where I want to go in life. And if that means I have to be in traffic for an hour, or in this case, a year in the Bitcoin market, then fuck it. I'll wait in traffic for an hour. But I'm not fucking moving. I'm not leaving. I'm here now. I'm dedicated. I'm committed. I'm going to the beach because I know I'd rather be there in the morning and the afternoon, just sitting there, eating ice cream, whatever the fuck, just chilling there. You know what I mean? And having a good time and relaxing. And maybe I'll, who knows, I might meet my friends there too. And then we could all just kind of just chill on the beach together. I think that's going to be more fun than just staying home, just watching TV, doing nothing, complaining and being depressed about my life, right? I want to do something this summer. So she said she was patient and she waited. And it took 20 minutes. And oh my gosh, 20 minutes took forever. But she waited. And guess what? 20 minutes later, traffic disappeared. She started to speed up again. And then all of a sudden she's going faster, and she's going faster, and she's going faster, and she's going faster. Next thing you know, she's going 80, just zooming in and out of traffic. And there you go. 15 minutes later, she's pulling up to the beach. She gets to the parking lot, pulls over, says, all right, I'm here now. I made it. Unpacks her stuff, gets to the beach, lay down, and had some fun. And now she's enjoying her best life during the summer. And so the point of that story was, she said, that's kind of how investing has been for me. Sometimes when you're going to a beach, or you're going to really fun places, or sometimes when you want to go out with your friends, sometimes it takes a long time for the night to get started. Sometimes I start getting ready like at 6 or 7, but the party doesn't start till 9, or the club doesn't open until 10:30. But I have to get ready early for this. Like I don't just get out of bed and then walk across the street. Like I have to get ready for this. I have to start making preparations. I have to start making a mental commitment. So she's like, it's kind of like the same thing. Like when I want to get ready for the club, or I want to get dressed to go out and eat, or I want to go out with my friends that night, like I have to start, making conscious decisions. Okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to the gym early and work out early? That way I'm home in time, like all these stupid things. But the point is, it's a commitment. She's starting to she's starting to organize her life and balance her life to make sure she's ready to go out that night. You know what I mean? And she's making that mental commitment. And then she says, yeah, I might be getting ready at 6. The party's not going to start till 9, 10, 10:30. But I know that once I'm there, I'm going to have fun when I party with my friends. And she's like, it's kind of the same thing, just like going to the beach. And sometimes when you go out with your friends, sometimes some of them aren't ready. Sometimes you have to wait for them to get ready. Sometimes when you're driving to Vegas, you're going to hit traffic. Sometimes when you're going here, it's going to be a long line before you get in. Sometimes when you get there, it's going to be hard to find parking. These are all little stressful events when you're going out to places or you're going out with friends, from finding parking to getting a valet to waiting in line to getting something to eat. Like, all of these things take time and it takes patience. But what's funny is once you get into the club or once you get to the beach and you're there with your friends and you're partying and you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself, the next day you don't really think about all the bullshit you had to go through. You're kind of just like, yeah, you know what? It did take a long time to get there. It was stressful finding parking. It was a long line. But you know what? I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I was committed. I'm glad that I I was patient and I didn't allow it to become too stressful. Because at the end of the day, I ended up having the time of my fucking life. And I think that's the most important story about tonight. And I think this kind of tells a lot of Bitcoiners what to do in life. Because it's not going to be a straight shot to 100K. It's not going to be a straight shot to 200K, 300K, 400K, 500K. Ladies and gentlemen, I am in the long term a bull and a mega fucking bull on Bitcoin. I do think it's going to hit $1 million one day. Trust me. You think I would own as many Bitcoins as I do if I didn't think it was going to $1 million one day? You guys know my story. I remember when that piece of shit was $15 and I was talking shit about it. Then I remember loading up at $300 and my best friend was talking shit to me about it. Like, damn, bro, wouldn't it have been easier if you just listened to me when we first started? I was like, man, stop bringing up old shit. And he's laughing at me because he was getting in when it was $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $70. And I'm over here like a pinche baboso loading up at $200, $300, $400. You know what I mean? He's like, damn, wouldn't it just been easier to listen to me the first time? I'm like, fuck you, bro. You know, shout out to my bestie Lee out there in Houston, Texas tonight. But, you know, like, the reason I am a believer in Bitcoin in the long term, I do believe, just like Andrew Tate and his brother, just like, you know, not Warren Buffett, just like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk own Bitcoin. Like, I am a believer in the long term, but I'm also not delusional. I'm not thinking it's just going to go from, you know, where are we, 30K? I don't think it's going to go from 30K to 300K tomorrow. I don't think it's going to go from 30K to 300K next week. I don't think it's going to go from 30K to 3 million a year from now. It's going to take some time. It's going to be a while. I'm taking a trip to Vegas. I'm taking a trip to go out this summer. I'm going to Cancun. I'm going to Hawaii. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to fucking Argentina. You know, I want to be out there in fucking Puerto Rico this summer on the playas of Mexico. One hand on the fucking margarita, one hand on the fat ass nalgas. Watching that shit jiggle for the weeks. Sheesh. That's how I want to enjoy my life. That's how I want to live my life. That's how the general wants to fucking, you know, retire in life. You know? But am I gonna, even if I had the 100 million that I'm trying to fucking get in the next 3, 4, 5 years from now, even if I had that in my account tomorrow, is it going to be a 15-minute trip to Cancun? Is it going to be a 5-minute drive to Italy? Is it going to be a fucking 6-hour trip to fucking Europe? You see my point? Like, it's going to take time. It's not fucking 5 minutes to Italy. It's not 15 minutes to Europe. It's not 1 hour before you get to Cancun. You know, I got to fucking get all the kids' clothes ready. I got to make sure everything's packed up and squared away. I got to make sure we have our passports on deck. I got to make sure we have all the outfits that we fucking need. I got to make sure we have everything locked up and stored away for the summer. Then after that, I got to buy the plane tickets. Then after that, I got to get us an Uber or a fucking Lyft to the fucking airport. Then we have to wait in the airport. Then we have to check in our luggage at the airport. Then we have to wait to get seated. Then we have to wait for the plane to take off. Then we have to wait for the plane to land. Then we have to get our luggage again. Then we have to get in another Uber or a Lyft. Then we got to get to the resort. Then we got to check in. Then we got to put our stuff away. You think that's a 15-minute trip? You think that's 5 minutes, especially when you got a wife and kids? Hell no! Anyone who's ever been on vacation, like me during the summer with the fucking wife and kids, right? Let alone a fucking poodle, right? You know that shit's not 5 minutes. You know that shit's not 10 minutes. You know that shit just don't take 15 minutes. My wife needs 6 hours just to fucking get dressed and get ready. You kidding me? Fuck. Me and the kids, we can be out the door in about 5 minutes. But the wifey, nah, she gonna need like 6, 7 hours. Get the nails, the hair, the makeup, the this, the that. Let me get my face ready. Oh my fucking God. I hate that about traveling in the summer. It's like it's forever to get fucking ready. You know, shout out to all the fucking husbands and fathers out there. You know what I mean. So I think that's kind of like what the Bitcoin market is going to be like for the next few years, for the next 5, 10 years until 2030. And again, I 100%, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000,000%, 1,000,000,000,000% undisputedly believe that Bitcoin one day in the future is going to be not just 100K, which I can't wait for that day. Whoo! Party up in here. But 200K, 300K, 400K, 500K, 900K, 1 motherfucking milli one day. But it's not going to be a straight shot. It's going to have its ups, its downs, it's all around. It's going to go sideways, it's going to go down. Then it's going to go sideways, and it's going to go up. Then it's going to go sideways, and it's going to go more sideways. Then it's going to go sideways again, it's going to go sideways again. Then it's going to go up, down, turn around, all around, up and down, and then it's going to go sideways again. And it's just going to be fucking, it's going to be a long-ass road trip. But the point of the story is, you can either be part of this, or you can stay your ass home this summer and not do anything. Just sit there and be depressed for the rest of your life like a broke bitch, working hands on your knees for that stupid ass supervisor and that bitch ass company, treating you and talking to you any kind of way because they know you need the fucking money, so you're not going to talk back to them. Sitting there hating that you haven't accomplished anything in life. Hating yourself for not taking, more careful decisions in life. Hating there thinking about all the regrets you have in life. Or you can get your fucking ass up, go fucking work, think about your income, come up with a game plan, fix your credit, kill your debt, fix your FICO score, put money up for a down payment on a house, start building a Roth IRA, contributing money to your Roth IRA, putting money in your fucking portfolio, researching the stock market, listening to the podcast, and emailing me if you have any questions. Some of you guys are still scared to email me. I don't know why. You have my email. You have a question. Ask me. What am I going to do? Ignore you? Ooh, is that the worst thing that can happen? No. The worst thing in life isn't fucking missing a shot. The worst thing you can do in life is not even taking a shot. So if you have a fucking question, ask me. You have my email this summer. So ladies and gentlemen, the worst thing you can do isn't fucking, go on a long road trip where you're going to be in traffic this summer. The worst thing you can do is not even take the road trip at all, not even jump in on the journey, not go out with your friends. Now, I'm not talking about going to stupid places because, I don't want you guys to spend money on stupid shit, but you know what I mean. Like, the worst thing in life is not even fucking taking a shot on your financial future and your financial freedom. The worst thing in life is you just sit there fucking spending money on stupid shit, blunts, hoes, and modelos, chasing loose-ass pussy on Instagram, sitting there all depressed and sad, and trying to make up for it by spending money on shit you don't really need with people who don't really like you, who would turn around and try to fuck your wife tomorrow if you died tonight. These people don't care about you. These people don't love you. They don't really fucking need you. They just say they do because they want you to put in on their stupid shit. So to me, I think the most important thing you guys can do is be a part of this journey in the long term. The most important thing you guys can do is focus on your financial future. Starting this summer for the long term. The most important thing you guys can do in life right now is get fucking started. Because if you don't, you're going to be a broke bitch to the day you fucking die. And that's a fucking fact. So, what's going to happen with Bitcoin this summer and moving in the future? In the future, I think it's going to be like the most amazing trip to fucking the beach. An amazing family vacation to Puerto Rico. An amazing fucking honeymoon to some of the fucking most beautiful beaches in Mexico. I think it's going to have a lot of fucking ups and downs, where it's going to be, We got to get to the Lyft. We got to get the Uber. Oops, the Uber's running late. Oops, we're running late to the airport. Oops, now we're stuck here sitting sideways waiting to get on the airplane. Oops, we got to pay the luggage fee. It's going to be more than I thought it was. Oops, now we're waiting in the plane, waiting for it to take off. Oops, now it's a 6-7 hour journey to get to Mexico. Oh, now all of a sudden the plane landed. Now we have to go find our luggage. Oops, the airport lost our luggage. It's going to be a lot of stupid shit. It's going to be a lot of bullshit. And then, oops, now we got to get a taxi. Oh, now we got to check into the resort. Oh, there's a long line to check in at the resort. Oh, now we finally checked in. Now I'm hungry. I'm starving. I got to use the bathroom. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. It's going to be a lot of shit like that. Ups and downs and stresses, unnecessary stresses. But I promise you, once you fucking get there, once you put your toes in the sand, once you have a margarita there, once you're balls deep in your wife's pussy at night, once you're there with a smile on your face, pouring champagne down her titties at night, once you're there with your family enjoying your best life every night, I promise you, you will spend the rest of your life saying, thank God I didn't spend my money on stupid shit. And thank God that I listened to the one, the only, the motherfucking general. Magallon Entertainment! Ladies and gentlemen, the war zone is clear. It's 30K now. We break above 30K and we hit 35K, then that means the rally is real to me now. That means the rally is official to me now. That means we're going higher now. The general is putting his foot in the sand, he's putting the line in his sand, and he's putting the fucking flag in the ground. Bitcoin breaks above 35K this summer, the general's all in. And I'm telling you guys to go 100% Bitcoin again. But if Bitcoin fails to get to at least 35K this summer, and the economy starts to collapse, the economy starts to fall apart, the unemployment rate starts to skyrocket, inflation stays higher for longer, so rates go higher for longer, then that means Bitcoin's coming back down again. And if it goes back down again, I don't think it's going to bounce on 15, 16K again. I think we'll finally hit my short-term price target of 5 to 10K. And if Bitcoin goes to 5 to 10K, that's when the general becomes greedy this summer. And I go all in on Bitcoin at 5 to 10K instead of waiting for it to break above 35K. And that'll make me even happier. Because if it goes to 5 to 10K instead of above 35, then that means I get to buy more of them now. Because that means I have a bigger discount now. And that means my short positions cashed out. That means my predictions was right. My thesis was right. My hypothesis was right. And that means me and my VIPs are going to be doing all right. And I'll buy more Bitcoins than I've ever owned in my entire fucking life. And 5 to 10 years from now, when I look at this moment, when I look at this part of my journey, on my way to the playas of Mexico, the beaches of Puerto Rico, the private resorts of Italy, I will look back at this moment in my life, this moment in time, this point of the podcast, and I will say, damn, the motherfucking general was right. Now, I can live the best night of my life, every single night. Because even though the world is burning to the ground, I took the appropriate measures to make sure my family was going to be all right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the plan, this is the journey, this is the Bitcoin story. Ladies and gentlemen, now you know, now you have it. Now it's time for you to make a decision. Now it's time to figure out where you want to be in your journey in life. And now it's time for you to make the right decisions. So just like me, next summer, you can enjoy your best fucking life. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for riding. Thank you for being with the motherfucking general tonight. Now let's fucking party. DJ Magallon, drop the motherfucking beat now.
You know